So I did my very first deck mod today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, welcome to my channel. I did my very first deck mod today, something that I was very hesitant to do, something that I wasn't sure if I would ever do. So I've seen quite a few videos and people talk about on Instagram how they've turned their decks that have edges into borderless decks. And I've always been very hesitant to do that because a few people will do it just by hand and a pair of scissors, and they will just cut along the edges, which for me, I don't have a steady hand whatsoever, so the thought of doing that makes me extremely nervous. But the mod that I did for the Sugar Skull Tarot deck here was I rounded the edges. So the way this deck was before had very, very pointed edges, to the point that I found it to be a little uncomfortable when I was working with the cards, especially when I was shuffling them. I found that the corners would dig into my palms a little bit, or even just my thumb gliding over the edge here as I was shuffling would kind of poke into my thumb. So it was a little uncomfortable. And also I'm more used to rounded deck corners. I don't think I have a deck where the edges here are pointed. So I thought that it would look nice rounding them off, but I was very nervous to do it. So I ended up ordering this little, it's a 3-way corner punch. So there's 3 different types, I don't know if you can see it, 3 different types of corners that you can do. I ended up using the 7mm here, and that gave me these kind of edges. So I filmed clipping a few cards. I didn't want to film doing all 78 because I didn't think that you guys wanted to watch me clip all 78 cards. So I'll insert the clip with a voiceover explaining the process that I did, and I'll also explain what I did when it wouldn't punch properly, because when that first happened I started to panic and I didn't think that there was any way to fix it. And then the few more times that it happened, I figured out how to fix it and it wasn't a big deal. So the first time that it didn't punch properly and this happened, I was terrified that I had ruined the card and there was no fixing it. But then I realized that I just had to readjust the position that the card was in the puncher and then redo it, and it worked like a charm. So once I realized that it was fixable, it wasn't such a big deal when the hole puncher wouldn't punch properly. So after every couple of cards, I would lift the hole puncher and just wipe away the excess pieces of paper that have been cut off from the cards, just so they wouldn't be in the way of the puncher when I would press down the little lever, because I found if too much paper built up underneath, it would actually have an effect on being able to properly punch the card. And yeah, that was basically the entire process of rounding out the corners of the cards. It was pretty simple and relaxing. I had my music on and yeah, away I went. So yeah, overall I am really, really happy with how the cards turned out. So it didn't affect the cards in any way, like the design of the cards, and they all came out looking the same, which I was nervous about. What if some of them turned out to be different than the other ones? And yeah, I had a lot of worries before doing this. And like I said before, I didn't know if I would ever do a deck mod, just because, I don't know, decks come the way that they do, and in the beginning I just felt like they're meant to stay the way that they are. But then I kind of talked myself into it a little bit, and I realized that they may come the way that they are, but they're your decks, like, at the end of it all, you know, and you have the right to do whatever you want with your decks. And if that means you want to make borderless decks and trim off the edges, go for it. Or if you want to round out the corners like I did, go for it. Like, you can do whatever you want to do with your decks. But I will say, when I punched the last card and realized that everything was okay and all the cards look really good and I'm happy with how they look, I was super relieved to have finished it, and now it's done and over with. So I really enjoyed rounding out the edges also. I found it to be quite soothing once I got the hang of it, and almost therapeutic a little bit. I just turned my music on and started chopping, and yeah, now I'm happy with the final results. But when I put the first card in to do that first initial chop, I was terrified. My hands were like shaking, because once I start, I kind of can't stop, because if I have one card that's different from all the others, that's, I don't want that. I want them to be all exactly the same. So then once I did the first chop and seen the way it looked, I was instantly in love with it, and I was excited to continue on doing the rest. So yeah, I wanted to share with you guys my very first deck mod, because I am proud of it and I'm happy with how it turned out. So if you are a fellow reader or deck collector, let me know in the comments if you enjoy doing deck mods. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you would like to stick around a little bit longer and see some of my upcoming content. I would greatly appreciate it, and I shall see you in the next one.